And we are now joined by Coach Scott Taylor. Coach, how are you today?
I'm great, Randall. Western side, buddy. Western side. But.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would make sense. My bad. My bad. Thank you. Coach, I want to talk about, obviously we talk about Bishop Boswell. We talk about Sir Muhammad. We talk about, AJ White. I think that for me, the biggest change in the last 12 months has been, Elijah Strong. He looks a little bit different on the court. From a leadership standpoint, can you just talk about how his impact on this team has been different?
I was following back on some stuff this morning, and somebody was writing a little bit about him. They talked about how emotional he plays, and how much he kind of leads with his emotion and his energy. And that's the truth. He's been that way ever since he showed up his freshman year. He walked in the gym that first summer, and we were doing a workout, and he asked to guard Drake May one-on-one, and he kind of caught it a little bit that day. But he's been that person from the time he's got here, and as his game has grown, and he's grown up a little bit and matured, everybody's seen the consistency in his personality, and been able to follow through with that. I mean, he's a lovable, likable kid. He's been loyal. And he's just continued to work. And I think that's something that our younger guys and guys that have been around a long time have seen the fruits of his labor, and how he's just been able to now put it all together and be consistent. His conditioning has improved. His athleticism has improved. But him as a person has always stayed the same. And his energy and he's always so excited to be out there, and he's so excited for his team and his school. It's hard not to love that.
Coach, congratulations. I want to make a couple points and ask you a couple questions as well. But first of all, you prepared this team by playing a really tough non-conference schedule, and also going on the road to a team like Carmel, and that thing helped prepare you for this playoff run. My next thing I wanted to compliment you guys on is I look at your roster, and you have all these high major prospects, Bishop Boswell, Sir Muhammad, AJ White, Elijah Strong. How did you get all these guys to buy into the team first philosophy that you guys have displayed so nicely out on the court?
To be honest, Coach Lewis, it kind of piggybacks a little bit on what we were just talking about with Elijah. Elijah's two-time Conference Player of the Year. And he knew that we had to continue to improve. And as those younger guys, as Sir and AJ grew last year with us, and Bishop coming in this year, knowing them and being around and knowing our guys so well, he didn't necessarily take a back seat as far as what we were asking of him, but he knew that for us to be really good, we had to be able to be better across the board. And him being willing to kind of invite that, and then when you have guys like Sir and his ability to distribute and get other guys involved and find open looks for Sam Walters and Santana Lynch and Jacob Parazon and all these other guys, I think they all just begin to build off of that with each other, and they're excited for each other. We've really played our best basketball when we've been when we've had some even distribution. The last several games we've had 3, oftentimes 4 guys in double digits, and that's hard to guard. Right. And sometimes earlier in the year we would win some games, but we'd have a couple guys that have a big game and a couple guys that weren't producing a ton in numbers. They would still defend and do what we were asking them, but we couldn't quite find our offensive flow. And as we've been able to keep guys engaged and be more efficient in what we're doing with our offense, it just makes us tough to guard. And again, I give Elijah and Sir a lot of credit for that, but AJ and Bishop and those other guys that play off of them have bought into what's been asked of them because they understand that it makes us a really difficult guard.
Coach, coming into the state championship, you guys are playing with a lot of confidence, and you got all the motivation in the world. Now, the one thing about it is you played Richmond early in the year and beat them pretty handily. How difficult will it be going into the locker room in this week in preparation to make sure the kids don't get too overconfident by looking at the early season score and outcome?
To be honest, not a bit. I haven't worried about that at all. 2 parts to that. I trust our kids. Our kids know that it doesn't matter if it was Holly Springs or Richmond, or it could have been, Durham Jordan and anybody else that came from over there. You're playing for a state championship. It's whether you played them or not, the chance to be able to go to Chapel Hill and finish off our season in that regard for the first time for Myers Park. I don't worry about their approach to that. And you guys are going to help us a little bit because everybody in Richmond County is happy to remind us that Paul didn't play that first game. We've heard plenty about it. We heard about it that night because he had just gotten back to school that day. And to be honest, that was the reason we scheduled the game. I wanted the game that first year against them. And also, I mean, now AC Reynolds was a good one for us. It was a good one for them. But we had Paul and Raquise Passmore, two top players in that class. And both of them have been high seeds in the playoffs. They were great for us to play out of conference. So we're excited about it. I mean, it's the first game of the year. They will present totally different challenges than they did that night. I've watched a little bit of that game this morning, and, man, we were excited to play. They were excited to play. But I think you got two totally different teams than you had that day back in November. I don't think that the game necessarily looks anything like that game that was played then. And you got two teams that are representative of really, really proud, tradition-rich communities that are going to be excited to play that night. And I really don't think that leads much into it for our young guys. If it does, then honestly, we're probably not as mentally tough and prepared to be in this position as I thought we were, and I just don't believe that's the case.
Well, watching the game yesterday against North Mecklenburg, I was very impressed overall by the game plan that you guys put out. And the thing that I was impressed with was you never got sped up anytime during the game. Y'all were really patient in the half court. You ran your sets, some beautiful sets in the half court, nice sets out of baseline, out of bounds. And, you're going up against a team like Myers Park where you got, a 6'3" Santana Lynch who can come in. You sort of forget about Santana Lynch, but, he's a sniper from the outside, shooting 47% from three. You got Sam Walters. These are guys that can light it up, so you can't really help too much off on the others. But you got Elijah Strong, you got Sir Muhammad, and A.J. White, Bishop Boswell. The size that you guys have is like a college team, and I was just so impressed with the continuity yesterday that you guys displayed on the court, the way you guys executed. And I said it in several – you guys look like a college team on the court yesterday.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The kids were really well prepared, and that was one thing that we talked about was we had to run really efficient offense in order for us to be able to help our defense yesterday. And guarding North Met, guarding Isaiah, guarding Trey, guarding Christian, all those guys is hard enough in the half. And we believe in our principles. We believe in what we do. And we're convicted in that. But if you're not running good offense, we're taking shots outside of what we're accustomed to and what we expect, then it allows them to play in transition. And the matchups to find people in there is so much more difficult. So we understand that it's both sides. For us to be able to be a good defensive team, we have to be able to be coordinated on the offensive end and understand what we're looking for. And there are multiple options for us, which is great. And then you get into the third quarter, and we can pound the ball inside to E. It's kind of like running the ball, and you continue to hit them at the paint and make them play 94 feet. It's tough. We understand that. So I think our guys understand that if we can be efficient offensively, find the right shot for us. And that was one thing that I talked about was not necessarily trying to go blow for blow. We didn't have to match those shots. When Isaiah started hitting stuff in the third, we weren't trying to hit the same shot back. We needed to make sure that we had one really good offensive possession for us. And Richmond will be the same. They're going to speed us up. They trap ball screens. They want to press. They want to do some stuff to get you out of their timing. So we're going to have to be really intentional on making sure that we're making good decisions, not turning the ball over, and making them play basketball on both ends.
Coach, last point I want to make in a follow-up question with you is, I think the thing that also impressive about your performance yesterday was your overall defense. And I think Myers Park is probably under the radar as far as how well you guys are defensively. You guys denied the pass. You had great weak side help. And then, in my opinion, Sir Muhammad and Bishop Boswell, two of the best on-ball defenders in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah, they're different guys. They present different challenges when you put them on the ball, but that's part of what makes us difficult is we can switch it up on them a little bit. We want to make sure that other teams are not necessarily be able to get into the flow. And if we can dictate where some of their catches are happening, where their actions are happening, and we can load up and continue with really consistent ball pressure, it really disrupts offenses and timing. And bigger than that, being able to contest shots and have weak side rebounding position. And yesterday, they were all in on that and really consistent. And even almost to a bigger point, not dropping your head when they do make a tough shot. I mean, you're playing some of the best basketball in the region. Guys are going to make some shots. So we just have to be able to make sure that we're being proactive in trying to initiate where that offensive stuff happens. And then if we need to try to make some switch up a little bit and put a little different look at people, we're lucky enough to have the versatility to be able to do that. Then when you have AJ or E or even Santana switch out on somebody, it puts more pressure on everybody. So those guys have been really good at that all year, and we hope we can get one more out of them.
Coach, congratulations on this milestone. I want to follow up on that defensive mindset right there. You know, I'm a big defensive guy. Can you name maybe just one or two things for the average fan out there to focus on in watching your team this weekend? All right, there's a lot of talk about how this team could be chasing greatness, and we know what you can do on the defensive end, given what you just said. In a layman's term, one or two things that the average fan should be looking for in what your team can do defensively, where they could figure out, oh, they might want to do something different, or, man, this team is great on the defensive end. Just one or two things they can look for.
Cool, Alex. It starts with ball pressure. And usually the head of the snake or the point of attack is probably going to be Bishop guarding the ball. And with that, our switches have to be urgent. We have to be at the level of the ball when we're switching. We have to be urgent on that. We don't want to give any opportunity for guys to be able to come off of any dribble handoffs or ball screens below the screen. And then our help side needs to be early. And if we're early and we can have guys in a position to be available to help and help on the backside, like I said, finishing up defensive rebounds, we're doing a really nice job. If teams are getting past us off the bounce and we're having to overhelp and they're kicking the ball out and getting open looks where we're not able to contest in time, then we're in some trouble. So again, it'll start with the ball pressure. It'll start with guys being early to help and being able to kind of stunt in there and be able to close down those gaps and then finishing with defensive rebounds.
All right, Coach. Last, I'm going to get you out of here. This game not being played at NC State, moving over to UNC. What are your thoughts on that? And then also let's talk about the regionals, semifinals and finals and kind of the overcrowding situation as well.
It was overcrowded in there yesterday?
A little bit. I heard some people had trouble getting into the game yesterday, Coach.
I mean, going to Chapel Hill's great. For one thing, it doesn't mess up my mojo. Like we went back in November. I took the team down there. We got on the court. We were able to visualize where we wanted to be. So if we were at NC State, then I kind of looked like I didn't know what I was getting right. So the state helped me out with that. But I'm glad that we're there because I think it probably gives us an opportunity to have some more Mustangs in there. That's probably the biggest thing for me. But I mean, if we're going to play at state, I wasn't going to really have a complaint about it. We get a chance to play for a state championship and whatever. There's what 15 other teams that are playing for state championships too that all want to have an opportunity and are excited about it. And I know they have a lot of things to consider for that. So great. Yeah. 7:30 on Saturday. I mean, it feels like prime time. It feels like we're finishing where we should start or where we started. And we'll have a ton of support in there, and Richmond's going to have a ton of support in there too. So it's going to be filled. It's going to be excited. But I mean, in total honesty, I wouldn't have been complaining if we were in Raleigh. We're just happy to be playing and practicing one more week. The regionals, I said this yesterday in one of the post-game interviews that I recognize the state catches a lot of grief on some of that stuff. They're doing the best they can with it. I was really thankful that CMS and Miss Turner and the ADs from Olympic, Miss Wilkerson and Fowler from East Meck and Elijah Ashley at Independence and the people over at Providence were willing to host because we could have been at Freedom. We could have been a couple hours away, and so Yeah, sure. When I was in high school, we played in Minges at East Carolina, and we played in Crown Coliseum, and that was always the goal to get there, and it was cool. And I know in the past it's been at Wake Forest, but you know, like I said, there's other things that went into that I'm sure above my pay grade. I was just happy we had a bunch of people in there yesterday, that our people are excited to be there, that they're willing to even be upset that they can't get in there. It could be a lot worse. We could have had plenty of tickets available and people not coming to watch. So I'm going to have a hard time really throwing out a ton of complaints on things like that. But if we want to go bigger and try to do something else, I think the one thing, and I know you got to get going, is I do think it's cool for all 4 classifications to be played on the Saturday in the same place. I think that it would be fun for our guys to see the 3A game, you know, whether it had been before us or after us, or you know, having those 4 classifications in one site on that Saturday is pretty cool. But you know, I'm not really sure what the decision makers have to think about when they consider all that stuff.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you for being on here. I know it was a lot longer than you anticipated and probably wanted to be here with us today. So we thank you for that, and good luck Saturday night.
Congratulations.
Thanks. See y'all there. Appreciate it.